Alright folks, so here's an update on our C10 here. I went ahead and changed the oil in it. Got all that good stuff straight. I took and oil primed it. So I got an oil primer I threw in there and primed the heck out of this thing. And took forever and ever wasn't getting the oil on all my rocker arms, and a little kind of concerned there at first, and then I think I was rushing a little too much and I didn't think much of it. But all I had to do was just take and rotate this motor over just a little bit. That way it gives a chance for all the lifters to, you know, seat back down. They're not open the valves or anything. But after doing that a couple times, I just turned the balancer down there by hand there. And we got oil in all the rocker arms, so it looks really good there. So they all oil primed. That's done set for a while now, but I checked and checked over and over and over again, and as you could tell down there, we definitely got oil pressure, so that's good. So got it oil primed, and I've been doing a lot of little stuff to this thing, trying to straighten this basket case out, because I fixed the starter. I had to take a shim out because it was shimmed too far away, and when I was looking at the teeth between the flex plate and that starter, you could just tell that the starter was too far away from the block there. So I took and ditched the shim and got everything tightened back up. Here's that shim. So I got rid of that old junk shim there, and straightened out my battery cable wire. I'm gonna trim them up. They're way too long. We don't need, you know, all that. Gonna trim that up. We're gonna ditch these side mount cables and put top post on it. Those are going away. And getting ready to pull that alternator off. We're going to put a 1-wire on it. And I'm getting ready to crack open that new HEI distributor box and throw that in. That way we can take that original cap and rotor. Well, that'll stay with our new distributor we bought. It's nothing wrong with the one that's in here now, but you know, this is all part of freshening up and trying to make it right. But anyway, trying to straighten all this mess out. Straightened up my battery cable wire. It was just about touching the exhaust manifold. Had a melted spot, so I just cut the bad spot off of it, and we got enough, as you can see here, that, you know, I trimmed that off and put a new end on it, crimped a new end. And when I say crimp, I meant doing it correctly using these type of ends like that. That's an old end, but I crimped it the correct end. Got the correct end on there, not that junk stuff that they got. But anyway, got that corrected. I'm gonna run a new solenoid wire, get all that straightened up. I've been pulling all the wiring off this thing underneath this hood here. It's just nothing but a fire hazard and just brittle, and you know, it's just, I mean, some of these wires, I got a hot wire here. Not sure exactly, but you just got stuff like this. If this thing will focus here. Yeah, you can't, that's just a fire hazard. Some of the wires are alright, but I'm gonna go through and inspect all this wiring thoroughly and get all that straightened out. It's still gonna, all this wire, the whole wire harness on this truck's going in the trash. I mean, it's just, you know, stuff like that, it's junk. I mean, there's no point in really keeping fire hazards. I mean, this is, you know, you spend all this time doing something, you know, you need to go through your wiring. But got rid of all that 1-wire harness that was over there, got rid of that. If you're wondering why, it had wires that were cut on it, and I'm still going to keep that in, and ain't nothing to it. So the purple wire, this 10 gauge here, that's the solenoid. That's looking at it like this. That's your solenoid wire right here on the bottom. And then beside it, not sure what this end goes to. Might be a ground maybe, I don't know. But anyway, not sure on that one. Then this green one right here is the temperature gauge in the truck. This one over here, this kind of tannish white one right here, that one goes to the brake light in your dash there. And then this other one right here is, this truck originally had points in it, and that would have went to the points. But anyway, I'm gonna take in, and if you're wondering if I'm not gonna leave that open like that where I pulled this off, I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna trim these wires off flush. And this is temporary. I'm gonna cut these wires off flush, take a little RTV, smear it over the end, put that back on so no moisture or anything gets back on. So I'll save that in. We're kind of deleting that temporarily, but that way we don't get no moisture and have a bunch of other issues in there, because that's just open right now. And so I'm just gonna temporarily delete that. And I did save the one wire for it goes to our distributor. So we got stuff like this going on here. That's going in the trash too, but you know, some of these wires I got to keep for now. We're not going to use that, but I just don't want to disturb that yet because I'm not quite ready. And I got that marked, staying it out like that. That way I know what's what. And I saved the other wire. This goes to the power wire on the back of our alternator there. And I'm gonna save that one too. I cut a bunch of this wire mess down here. We still got to ditch our external regulator. We had an internally regulated alternator on here. I don't want, this will be the third alternator. This truck had a externally regulated alternator originally from the factory. Then I upgraded it to an internal alternator, which is right there. And then now I'm getting ready to take it to the next step. It's all about taking it to the next level, you know. That's what I like to do with a lot of this stuff. And we're going to upgrade it to a one wire. And it's the same exact thing as what I got for my Edsel. It's rated for 105 amp, 100 amp, 105, you know, give or take, about 100 amp. But that's what we're going to put on here. And that'll get rid of all that trash and basket case and all that. And that'll actually make this truck too where it's not a, you know, fire hazard. And I'm going to find the main power wire that goes to everything, the headlights and all that stuff. I'm going to do a little research here. And I think this would be the safest way possible. And I'm just going to take in wire it to the ignition switch. And that way everything's tied into the ignition switch. So the key on, you know, you got to have the key on. I know it sounds stupid, but you'll have to have the key on in order to turn the headlights and all that stuff on. But that's safer that way. For now, this is just temporary. That way, you know, something happens, you just turn the key off. And then, of course, you still got the headlight switch and all that stuff, too. So you still got that backup, too. But, you know, I'm not going to get rid of all that. But I'm just going to take the main power wire that goes to that wire harness down here. Right there. Find the main one and tie it to our ignition switch with the key on. That eliminates any other future things. And like I said, we got the headlight switch, all that'll be tied into that too. So, you know, it's not like you I mean, you'll have to have the key on in the bill and then pull the headlight switch, you know, to turn them on. But don't really like doing that, but I think this will be the best way for now, because it'll make it, you know, safer. That way we don't have to worry about it, and you know, don't need no fire hazards. Done been through that. But anyway, and if you're wondering, I still am going to order the oil fill tube. I am going to order that, but I'm going to wait. And I was going to install it on this motor, but I'm going to wait for now. There's no point in putting it on right now. I think we're just going to run these valve covers for now. And I wanted to get a set of 283 valve covers, and I do have an original set, but they're a little bit dented up, and I'm going to wait, because I think I'm going to buy a reproduction set. Either that, or I might go with the set of 327s. but haven't quite decided yet. But yeah, I'm gonna wait on that oil fill too, because there's no point. This poor old motor here is just, this motor been through definitely been through rough times, I'll say. When I drained the oil out, it had a bunch of antifreeze in the oil, and that is from, it's nothing to fear. That's just when I pulled the heads off, that some of that antifreeze, you know, got into the cylinders, and some of it kind of got down to the intake. When I pulled the intake off, I had a lot of coolant that the way this truck's sitting here, it's kind of leaning back a little bit. When I removed that, the original, we'll say, intake, some of that coolant on the back of the heads there running down, it all ran down to the motor there. So that's nothing to fear there. But I changed the oil in it, and if you're wondering, is it a Heising oil? No. I'm at the point now, because we're gonna put a cam in it and a new set of lifters anyway. It's not, it's our, if it's hurt, it's hurt. I mean, it's no point in worry about zinc. I mean, because it's, you know, this motor is, you know, if the cam lobes are flat, they're flat. You know, you can't take it back by adding zinc. You're not doing anything. It's just like putting a lead additive in, like my Edsel over there, because it doesn't have hardened seats. Well, the damage is already done. There's no point in worrying about it, you know. If they're sunk, they're sunk. It's going to need a valve job. But it's kind of the same concept here. But I am going to put a stock cam and a set of lifters in it later on, if I can decide, you know, if this motor runs good enough for now, because I want to save it. But that's why I'm not too worried about the zinc, honestly. I mean, I might get a bottle of it, throw in there, you know, for now. I mean, just, you know, peace of mind. But you can buy a little bottle additive to throw in it. But anyway, we're getting a lot closer, getting everything, getting rid of all this basket case mess, and I'm really so close to taking this heater box out, and just, I'm gonna keep it, but just getting rid of it completely, because that, to me, I just don't like it. Eventually, when I make this the dream truck like I want, I do want to put factory AC back on it. I do. Well, I won't say factory, but I do want to put air conditioning back on this truck. Definitely. This was a factory AC truck, and I do want to put that back on. Now, I probably won't use that original factory setup, but it will get AC, you know, eventually. When I build it like I want with my 454 or Turbo 400, and put this thing on the F-150 frame like I want. And I did measure the frame, the width of this frame and the width of the F-150 is about 2.5 to 3 inches wider on the F-150. And I think we could really play with that. I think it'll work. The wheelbase is almost dead on, almost. It's very close. Now the frame on the C10 here gets narrow up here in the front here. And our frame on our F-150 is a little bit wider on the front. It's more of a square frame, I guess you would say, if that makes sense. But not perfectly square, but if you catch my drift. But anyway, I got to straighten up a bunch of other stuff, get rid of all this basket case wire and steel. We're going to get rid of that regulator, get rid of all that mess. Been clean up just little things like this. Been cleaning up some of these ground connections here, and that'll help. We can get brighter headlights and all that. So I cleaned the one up down here. Got another one on the other side down there too. I just cleaned them up. It's not so much you got to worry about ground connections. I mean, they are very important too. But anything that's hot, you know, positive, you know, to me, it's always good to clean the grounds up. Both of them are very important. But you really don't want like a hot touching, you know, a ground anywhere. Definitely don't want that. But that's why we're trying to get rid of all this mess. But this last little thing here, and then we'll probably end this video, is we're going to straighten all this power steering mess up here. That is definitely, I ordered this power steering line. That's the pressure line. It's supposed to be for a 67 to 72 C10 there. That definitely does not look correct. So I'm going to look into that. We'll run that for now. But I'm gonna see if I can find one that's, you know, routed and bent correctly. But we're definitely gonna get rid of this return line down here. I mean, I'm gonna keep it, but we're gonna straighten that up a little bit because that looks awful. I might just come in here and just cut this in because it's kinked just about right here, and that's just, you know, we can't have that. I straightened these lines out here, these brake lines here. They were almost touching my exhaust manifold. So I pulled them back, bent them a little bit, got them straightened up. And just a lot of little details, you know, a lot of little details. I mean, you know, it makes it look so much better when you clean up all that basket case stuff. Because, you know, I know it's a little old 305 here, and this motor's been through rough times, that's for sure. But, you know, when you open the hood up, I mean, this is, you know, this is, like I said, this is not a show truck. This is just a beater. But, you know, that way it doesn't look all like a basket case underneath, and it just, you know, makes it look better. And plus, you don't want to play anything to do with your brakes, your wiring, your suspension, you know, windshield, steering column, your tires, wheel bearings, but that kind of goes with the suspension there, in my opinion. That's stuff you don't want to play with, you know. You don't want to mess around with this stuff because, you know, it's got to be safe. You don't need fire hazard, and you don't need a vehicle that won't stop. And you don't need to be driving something, because I got to put tires on this thing too that got bald tires, but they're going to get thrown away. But I think I mentioned before, this truck is, well, once I get a set of tires for it, it will be, it is truly ready to get a front end alignment.